is Cardinals baseball. Big crowd tonight. Glad you're with us on FSN Midwest. Some believe this is a huge start for Matt Morris as he looks for victory number 12 this evening.
I think in Matt's eyes it's very important, the fact that he needs to go out and prove to himself what he can do, and he wasn't obviously very happy last time. I think that's something you've never seen before in his career, and I doubt we'll see again. And he's made a lot of adjustments this year, and for him to make another one from last start to this start is a small one to make. And he's got a good game plan. He had a great bullpen in between starts, and I think he's very ready to go.
And that last time out for Matt Morris, only 2/3 of an inning. He was gone, and San Francisco hung on for an 8-7 win. With my partner, Al Raboski, we welcome you to Cardinals Baseball. I'm Dan McLaughlin. A lot of people are talking about this start. Is it a big start for Matt Morris?
Well, obviously it is, but I think it's something that everybody can get so concerned about, and then all of a sudden you try to overdo things, you try to overanalyze. Let's go back to basics. You know, he's an 11-game winner. He's got a great winning percentage here in St. Louis at Busch Stadium. Just go back and think positive.
Here's what you're talking about. This is our Bank of America higher standard. It's not just Matt Morris, but also tonight's other starter, Tom Glavine. Overall, he is 8-9 this season, but that's not indicative as to how well he has pitched this year. His career winning percentage at Busch, and these are the top 5 active players in baseball. Tom Glavine the best at 9-1, and there you see Matty Moe with a winning percentage of .658. When you talk about Tom Glavine, below 500 record, throw that out the window. This guy is a future Hall of Famer and having a very, very good year.
Yeah, I just talked to Tom a little while ago, and I said, how do you feel? And he said, physically, this is one of his best years. And he's not getting a lot of run support, but a great ERA. He's eating up innings, and he's a great competitor.
Let's take a quick time out. We're going to flash back, folks, to May 18th. That was at Shea Stadium after this break. We're in downtown St. Louis. Cardinals baseball, a glorious night for baseball. On May 18th, it was the lefty, future Hall of Famer Tom Glavine against Matty Moe. A look back when we come back on FSN. Cardinals. Let's see if he's tipping pitches, if he can turn things around. His numbers right there, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. And the first pitch is a ball low at 7:09 to switch hitting Jose Reyes.
11-game winner. He's won 7 of his last 9 decisions. Who's worried about Matt Morris?
We're not worried one bit, Al.
That's
Matt
right.
Morris is going to pitch well tonight.
Yes, he is. He's also second in the National League, allowing those home runs. But the good news, he's allowed just 2 in his last 32-plus innings. He is. He's had 20 ground balls for double plays. That's tied for tops in the National League. His record is 9-4 in 14 night games. So we got a winner here.
He hit on something that is very important for Matt Morris. When you go back 2 starts ago, which was that complete game shutout victory over San Francisco, Dave Duncan said, hey, you were throwing ground balls. You got 4 double plays. That's the key here. That's a ground ball. That's a good play by Pujols. There's Morris for round number 1, and that's how we start the game. Boy, Reyes can fly down the line, and hitting from the left side even a step or 2 quicker, and Morris had to be quick off the mound.
Well, Danny, it's so important. You see the adjustment on the breaking ball there. But this is his 166th start. But coming after the tough one last week in San Francisco, it was so important to get that first ground ball, record the first out, and then you take that deep breath and kind of relax and say, okay, I put that last start aside.
This is Kaz Matsui. Signed the huge contract, came over from Japan. And a lot of people are saying that this is a different player from the last time that we saw the Mets, in particular defensively. Now, he played on AstroTurf, primarily in Japan, and a lot of times in that 3-game series against the Mets, we saw him waiting on a lot of balls, a lot of close plays at first. They say he's much more aggressive at short and hitting much better as well, but he falls behind 0-2. Swing and a miss and a strikeout, first of the night from Matty Moe. Let's take a look at that Mets lineup. Art Howe, the second-year manager. It reads like this: Reyes Matsui, now Mike Piazza, Cliff Lloyd, Mike Cameron, Richard Hidalgo has been a nice addition to their lineup. David Wright, very good young player. Jason Phillips behind the plate. Tom Glavine is on the mound. So here's Mike Piazza, all-time leader in home runs as a catcher, primarily now used as a first baseman.
For the Mets' sake, I hope he's improved defensively from what we saw in New York.
That was an adventure over there. 364 against the Cardinals this year in that 3-game series.
He is a weapon at the plate.
The thing that amazes me about Piazza are the outside pitches and the fact that he can hit it to the left of Jim Edmonds to the opposite field with power. Defense brought to you by Auto Tire. There's a look at what the Cardinals show tonight. A strike to Piazza. 1-2 is the count.
Let me tell you something about Matt Morris tonight. Everybody talking about diminished velocity. Not tonight. He's got some giddy up.
Here's a 1-2. Ooh.
94 on that pitch.
Maybe he feels he's got something to prove tonight.
That's it. You know, I mean, you don't want to dwell on it, but you want to reflect.
Scott Rowland to his left. He can take his time. Good start for Matt Morris. First innings, a key. The Mets go down 1-2-3. Nicely done. Albert to Matty Moe. Bottom of the first, and St. Louis has got its 8-9 on the season. Look right below that, the ERA under 3. And in modern baseball, a 2.88 ERA means you're getting the job done, Al.
He's very capable. 38th on the all-time win list with 259 career wins. 8th all-time amongst left-handers. The ERA is 9th best in the National League. He's allowed 2 runs or less in 16 of 23 starts, 3 runs or less in 18 of 23 starts. He pitched very well on the road and during the day.
A look at the Cardinals lineup. So Taguchi, left fielder. Then you've got Renteria, Pujols, Rowland, Edmund Sanders, Hector Luna, Mike Matheny, and Matt Morris. First pitch by Glavine is a ball a little low and away. By the way, Jerry Crawford, our good friend, is behind the plate.
Uh-oh.
But no incident with Mike Matheny in that first inning, so we're off to a good start. That one floats in there for a strike to So Taguchi. Cardinals primarily using a right-handed hitting lineup tonight.
And primarily, you'll see Glavine pitch away.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Taguchi fouls it back. Just a gorgeous night for baseball on a wonderful day here in St. Louis and across the Midwest. And we've got a big, big crowd tonight. Still filing in here at Busch. A ball and 2 strikes on Taguchi, hitting .261 on the year. When you think about So Taguchi, you think about all the people following Kaz Matsui and Ichiro in Seattle, in particular the Japanese media. And again, we saw that throng of media following those two tonight. The 2-2 pitch. Taguchi lays off. Renteria on deck. The number 2 man in this lineup. And a full count on the leadoff man, So Taguchi.
So important to work the count, make him throw, get his pitch count up. Don't swing at borderline pitches. And don't try and pull the ball.
This, to me, is the natural spot in the order for So Taguchi as he grounds it to Piazza. He'll take it himself for out number 1. A look at the defense for New York. With Piazza at first. This is brought to you by Auto Tire. Floyd and Cameron in center. He's a good one. Hidalgo's got a gun in right. Then you have Wright at third, Matsui at short, Reyes at second, Piazza over there at first base, and Jason Phillips is behind the plate.
Mets have committed 97 errors. Cardinals only 61. And Matsui has 22.
Here's Renteria. First pitch, a ball. It's amazing this lineup is able to put a guy with those kind of numbers in the second spot in the order. But that's how good it is with Pujols, Rolen, and Edmonds. Edgar, ground ball, left side. Matsui charging, and he makes the play. It was balls like that that we saw him maybe take a step or two back and wait on in New York, and instead of charging, and of course that play wasn't even close. Good job by Matsui at short.
Hey, sometimes you rely on your arm, but with the artificial turf, what you're saying, the ball gets to you quicker, so he had the time to lay back and had never really experienced playing on the grass.
And now it's Albert Pujols, arguably the most dangerous hitter in this lineup. 2 outs, nobody on.
This could be a fun game. 2 very good pitchers, and look like Matt's on top of his game. Glavine always.
Did I tell you that, and there's Tony La Russa, we're going to hear from Tony in just a moment, live. But did I tell you that Albert Pujols is a Hall of Famer? He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, I know. The Arizona Fall League.
I'm just telling you.
Just so you'll know. Well, he hasn't been inducted yet.
Good point. So you've got me on the technicality.
Part of this class.
Announced today, the Arizona Fall League, that Albert Pujols will be a 2004 inductee in the Arizona Fall League's Hall of Fame.
I think you're disappointed. I read that.
You caught me again.
Garrett Anderson, too.
Now I'm upset. Now you really got me. Of course, you're a season ticket holder to the Scottsdale Scorpions. Albert with a rope into center on a 3-1 pitch. A pitch that was elevated out over the plate. He doesn't give you much, and Pujols will take what he's given.
Danny, that's the key. To get the ball up, get the ball elevated. You see it out there, and it stays up, and then don't try and do too much with it. Use your hands, come through, follow through, and try and think up the middle to opposite field. He'll throw just enough inside to keep hitters honest, keep them from diving out of the plate, but he lives out away, tries to get hitters to roll over.
Here's Scott Rolen. Now, Rolen has numerous at-bats against Glavine because of his days in the National League East, playing for the Phillies. You come into St. Louis and you look at 3, 4, and 5 in the order, and you're thinking, holy smokes. No wonder they're 31 games above 500. The combination of Pujols, Rolen, and Edmonds, Al, they rank in the top 10 in 8 National League offensive categories.
If you talk to Rolen and talk to the guys, they'll say, hey, it's the guys hitting in front and the guys hitting behind us. You know, that it's a team effort.
2-0 on Scott Rolen with Edmonds on deck.
Obviously, Renteria helps Pujols out, but it also the presence of Rolen behind him, and then you have Edmonds behind Rolen. You have to pitch to him.
That's a strike to the Cardinal third baseman. To put it in perspective, as you see Scott Rolen, pretty good numbers there against Tom Glavine. Those 3 have 86 home runs combined. That's 7 more than the entire San Diego Padres team.
Reflection of how good they have been and how tough it is to hit home runs at the new Petco Park in San Diego.
And they're 2 games out in the National League wild card race, and those Cubbies lead it by 2 games. San Francisco 3 back.
Cubs are in San Francisco tonight.
Key series there. On 3-1. Rolen chops it foul. So a full count pitch coming up. That means Albert is off with the pitch. The outfield is very, very deep for Scott Rolen. So ball in the gap. Not so sure that Pujols would score. And another question is, why would you hold him on 3-2?
They haven't finished their conversation yet, but
couple all-stars over there.
No reason to hold him.
And it's ball 4 to Scott Rowland. And here's Jim Edmonds. I said Pujols is hot, but boy, this guy may be the hottest. We're talking about the Cardinal center fielder, Jim Edmonds. Runners at first and second. And a part of Edmonds' game that has been much better this season is facing left-handed pitching. Hitting .333.
And with 3 home runs. Last night he hit his 30th home run, his 5th 30 home run season, and 4th in 5 years with St. Louis. He's also been walking a lot, 9 times last 4 games, and look at those RBIs.
That's an indication of a couple things. Pitchers pitching around Edmonds, but also it shows you how well he is seeing the baseball.
Well, you know, Jim, there are times where you just flat out would maybe see him in his first at bat and say, oh, it's going to be one of those days. Or you see a certain, swing here and there, and you go, he gives up that at bat, but not this year.
2-0 on Edmonds. Matsui, the shortstop, is very close to second base, almost like a shift there for Jim Edmonds. We see that used an awful lot by the St. Louis Cardinals.
And most of the time, and that one thing keeps Pujols a little closer there, but most of his fly balls are to left center. He goes that way. And if he pulls the ball, he's going to pull it on the ground unless he launches it. His ground balls are more pulled, and he sprays the ball to all fields and has power to all fields when he hits it in the air.
Hit it over the bullpen in left center field, an opposite field shot a couple nights ago. Tremendous power to the opposite field. Sanders is back in the lineup. He's on deck. And the count goes to 3-1. So again, Glavine going deep into a count. He did so with Taguchi. He did so on 3-1 with Pujols. Went to a full count with Scott Rowland. And now 3-1 on Jim Edmonds.
Well, that's because he tries to pick. Tries to hit his spots. Hopefully the umpires will give him a little bit of leeway.
And it's ball 4. Bases loaded for Reggie Sanders.
I think he's wondering where in the heck is the strike zone.
Now Glavine has had some struggles early in ball games this season. First 30 pitches, opponents hitting 300. 31 plus, you see it's much different. And already 24 pitches thrown in this first inning.
Well, I think that's an indicator a lot of your good pitchers kind of struggle trying to find their command in the first inning. But it's also, he is a guy that lives on the corners. And if he doesn't get an umpire that lives out there with him, it's a walk on the wild side. And until he gets the bases loaded, he's not going to, change or deviate. Now he has to throw strikes.
Former teammates here while with Atlanta, Tom Glavine and Reggie Sanders. This might be a tough guy to get your bearings back in the box because Reggie hasn't been playing all this week. Strain in his side, but feels good. Sat out that entire series with Montreal. Could have been used as a pinch hitter last night. Was not. Gave him one more extra night's rest. And here he is on 1-0. Reggie into center, but right at Cameron. Hard hit, but right at the Mets center fielder. Second inning coming up. Tony La Russa joining us from the Cardinal dugout. And Tony, this has been 6 weeks going on, and we just want to say thank you to you and your staff and your players for allowing us some insights into the game, and I know that the fans have truly enjoyed the last 6 weeks.
Well, that's why we did it. I hope the fans found a little edge there, and it helped them enjoy the game, so we were pleased to be a part of it.
Now go score some runs, will you please?
Okay.
All right, that's Tony La Russa. Our thanks to him. That was our pilot program coming to an end tonight. We were able to mic up players, interview players live. Pitchers were done. They'd come out. They'd visit with us in the Cardinal clubhouse or just outside the clubhouse, and it was terrific for the fans and for us.
Yeah, a big thank you to not only the players and staff, but to the fans themselves, because there were about a third of the clubs that had this experiment, and the St. Louis Cardinal fans had the best responses.
Reggie wore one. Jim Edmonds hit one out when he was wearing a microphone. Cliff Floyd pops it up right side. Pujols, long way to go along with Mike Matheny, and off the dugout and a souvenir right side. But like you said, about 6 teams, Cardinals included, were part of this pilot program, and we had an overwhelming response from the fans, and the cooperation of the players is what makes this thing happen. And our thanks to Tony and Walt and the rest of the gang.
Cal Eldred showed his intelligence.
You know how much he wanted to be a part of it? He came up to me as Floyd hits it over the Cardinals dugout. He came up to me today and said, "I apologize." I said, "What for?" "I think I was supposed to be on microphone yesterday." He said, I went by and, the guys really didn't say anything to me, so I wasn't sure if he wanted to interview me or not." So the players were well aware of what was going on, and we certainly appreciate their cooperation.
Well, Woody, I think we had like 3 of Woody's starts. The first 2 times we asked him about doing an interview after the start. The 3rd time he just came out, grabbed the headset, and said, "Let's go." Didn't even have to ask him.
That's
just
great.
thought it was part of it.
Swing and a miss. Floyd out in front of a changeup. Strikeout number 2 on the night for Matt Morris. John Mabry, you see his microphone right between the birds on the bat. Wearing one tonight. We'll check in with John and hear his thoughts on this game as we progress throughout the evening. Good pitch there by Matt Morris. He's been incorporating the changeup a lot more this season, and hopefully it becomes just another part of his repertoire.
He's tried to add a couple pitches. At times he's gotten in trouble with those on location. But right now, he's got his cutter and his sinker working. He's throwing the ball hard. He's changing speeds. He's working fast. That's something too. Where is that pitch?
Wow. Pitch before was questionable, but that pitch, no question.
Well, we were talking between the break that I thought Glavine had a few taken away.
And Glavine, we had a camera on him in that dugout. He was less than pleased with that strike zone. 2-2 the count on Mike Cameron, former Red, former Mariner, and now with the Mets. This one is popped up, shallow center. Edmonds coming a long way to make that play. Wow. Where's Hector Luna?
Well, I think Jimmy might have called it off early and didn't realize that he had a lot more distance to travel than he thought, but it's always easier coming in on a fly ball than backpedaling trying to catch it. And a center fielder should do that. All outfielders should take those balls, see them fighting the sun as the sun beginning to set, but it still have those portholes at the top of the stadium.
Richard Hidalgo tied a club record for reaching 10 home runs in the fewest amount of games, 29. We know he's got power. That one into left center. That'll stay in the ballpark. Jimmy makes the play. 6 up, 6 down for Matt Morris to start this game. Cardinals will have Luna, Matheny, and Morris coming up. Matter of fact, that'll be tomorrow, Al, as I read the promo verbatim. The first 12,000 kids ages 12 and under with a paid admission receive a Build-A-Bear Workshop Fredbird. Fredbird, boy, this is something that is so special. Al's been doing this all week long because we had a sneak preview of it. He'll have his own bird condo featuring Grant's Farm and their 50-year anniversary. That will be tomorrow. Mets and Cardinals. If you don't come down to the ballpark, that game will be seen on Big Fox. Hector Luna is the hitter. Really thought that Hector had some nice at-bats late in the ball game against Montreal. I asked Tony La Russa about those at-bats. He said, this guy can play. He says, it's just a shame with this lineup, he doesn't get many at-bats, but when he gets a chance to play every day, which he will in this league, he's going to be a heck of a player. Matt Stewart scoops it up. Luna retired. Looked like a broken bat. It was, and it may have been on a changeup. Hit it off the end of the bat.
You see him reach in there, and you see the changeup grip. Circle change, and look at how the ball, he's a little bit out in front. He hits it off the end of the bat. It shatters it and gets that, that's what we're talking about, trying to get a hitter to roll over, throwing that ball out of the way, and instead of trying to go with the pitch, they try and roll over, and they don't try, they do, and break the bat, and all sorts of ground ball to short.
Hidalgo near the line and makes the play. 2 outs. That off the bat of Mike Matheny. And it brings in Matt Morris.
used to be time, and you see the same grip, that circle change. Well, maybe later on we'll show you that type of grip, but the way these two pitchers are going, we might have a chance to call your favorite restaurant, make a reservation, and say I'll be there in about an hour.
These guys are flying through this. This is Matt Morris. 7 for 45 on the season. 2 outs, no runners on, and a strike from Tom Glavine. We, of course, will have the Midwest Sports Report coming up. A lot of hockey to talk about as Brett Hall agrees to a deal with the Phoenix Coyotes. Morris looked like another changeup into center. Cameron there. 2 innings in the books. It'll be David Wright, Jason Phillips, and Glavine coming up for the Mets in their half of the third.
And Sports Show period tonight on FSN.
Maybe the best job we've ever seen as far as miking a player, and you're going to hear it here with John Mabry. Thank you, John Mabry. You're helping us all out.
It's further enhancing the home viewers' view of the game. That's Steve Uline. That's everybody's boss running the truck. Right, Tommy?
He's talking about Tom Me, not Tommy. Tom, pause, Me, which is our director, Al, and Steve Uline. So good work there by John Mabry. We ought to hire him as an agent.
Steve Uline from Bud Sports.
David Wright is the hitter. Called up from Double-A and pulls it foul. One of the young players that they have in their system. That's Steve Uline on the left. Anheuser-Busch. Curveball, a good one from Matty Moe. Strike 2. Cardinals with 1 hit tonight. That was from Albert Pujols. Back in the first. Mets still looking for their first base runner. 1-2 the count on Wright. Now, when he was called up, this guy was hitting very well in the minor leagues.
Well, how about last night? He had 6 RBIs last night in Milwaukee, and Joe McEwing introduced me to him today.
Super Joe.
Real good kid. He's a real good kid. You know, it's like I said, you know, Joe, you know, it wasn't that long ago when you were here, we were talking those things about you.
Well, Wright was New York's 38th overall pick back in 2001, so a quick progression through their minor league system.
He became the 129th third baseman in their franchise history, and he made his debut in July 21st.
And from 0-2 to 3-2. Popped up. Playable. Reggie Sanders over there in right field tonight. Out number 1. Cardinals fans, we want to hear from you. You log on to stlcardinals.com to tell us what you think of tonight's broadcast, and you look for this graphic. Let your thoughts be heard about our pilot program. And thank you to all the folks that have taken the time to do so. And we hope to incorporate a little bit more throughout the season with players and coaches being mic'd. And certainly hope to do it again next season. 1 out, this is Phillips. Ground ball, gobbled up there by the Gold Glover. 2 outs. And it brings in Tom Glavine.
Brian Ornora, young umpire, was working in this crew at first base. You see him hustling down the right field line to be in position there. So we want to give the umpires their dues. Too many times we highlight them when they're in an argument or some kind of a dilemma with the players, and they have a tough job to do, and we appreciate it. They're a big part of the game. Sometimes in some of their minds, they're not the only part of it.
Here's Tom Glavine hitting 189. 2 outs, nobody on. Morris is sharp tonight. Only 2/3 of an inning. In his last start against San Francisco, and as you noted, Al, velocity has been up, and you wonder a little bit if that's because of such a short outing and the fact that he's motivated tonight.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. And you know, these guys are tough competitors. They're good athletes, and sometimes when people around them are challenging them, they'll respond.
Fastball catches the outside corner. 3-1 on Tom Glavine.
91, but it's that tailing, sinking action. That's what you got to get back to.
Right down central. Full count.
You know, you compare Tom Glavine and say a potential Hall of Famer. He didn't throw anywhere near as hard as Matt.
Here's a chopper. Morris makes the play and throws over to Albert Pujols. Mets are done here in the top of the third. Top of the order coming up. That means Taguchi, Renteria, and Surik. Sounds of the game, you could hear Matt Morris hop off the mound and say, "I got it, Mike," as he was directing traffic himself.
Yeah, a lot of times the catcher does that, but you know, you have to be alert and know that that ball was bounced out there. It's your territory. You know, we made a lot of fun of Tavares the other day, but you know, there are times when a pitcher does have to field his position, and that was one there for Matty Moe.
I asked Tony La Russa about that play that Julian made, in which he probably, in retrospect, should step aside and...
No, totally.
Okay, I'm just trying to sugarcoat it a little bit here. Work with me. So I said, what do you think about that play, Tony? And he talked about Tavares. He said, you know what? I didn't say anything to him when he came off the mound. And Tavares said, I know you're mad at me. You're mad at me, right? He said, no, I'm not mad at you one bit. As Taguchi hits it into left field, and this would be Cliff Floyd, he said, you've got the 10th inning to go out and pitch. But if the game was over, he would have jumped all over him. He said he didn't want to upset him at all.
Yeah, he didn't want to get him out of his pitching frame of mind.
Right. But they definitely had a conversation after the game was won on the walk-off home run from Albert Pujols.
And because of that home run, and because Tavares did catch the ball, you know, you could kind of laugh about it.
Sure.
But let the sure hand guys have it.
There's a strike to Edgar Renteria. By the way, Moises Alou, Hank Blaylock, Alfonso Soriano, Johnny Estrada, and the man on deck, Albert Pujols of the Cardinals, have signed up to play for the Major League Baseball team in the All-Star Series. That will be played in Japan in November. That just announced about an hour ago. MLB has talked about having great success overseas. The Yankees in Tampa Bay opening up the regular season in the Tokyo Dome. It was a two-game series. They had sellout crowds, and it totaled over 110,000 people in just 2 games. That's amazing.
Hey, that was this year, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Before training camp broke from Florida and Arizona, they went over there and played.
Glavine doesn't get that call. He has gotten that pitch for nearly 2 decades.
Well, they've changed the strike zone and tried to get away from that bell-shaped strike zone because of the Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
On 3-1, that's a strike.
And some people said the reason that the Braves haven't had more success in postseason is because they would get a more standard strike zone during the postseason, and when these guys have to throw strikes, they're hittable.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Edgar to Matsui. He's been busy tonight. 2 down. The next great thing in sports entertainment returns tonight with IMAX as Max Kellerman takes on the world to find out how bad Michael Vick's hamstring truly is and how will that affect the Falcons' chances this year. Plus, as he prepares to go into the Hall of Fame, where does Barry Sanders rank among the greatest running backs of all time? IMAX tonight, 10:30, only on FSN Midwest. Ball 1 to Albert Pujols. Albert, the only hit for either side in this ball game. No score as we play here in the bottom of the third. Scott rolling on deck. Cardinals had the bases loaded back in the first. Couldn't cash in. It's about the first pitch we've seen from Glavine actually go inside. It's always fun to see a guy like Tom Glavine adjust as the game goes on. First 9 may see a little different from the second 9. Matsui, good play to his left. Cardinals go 1-2-3. You're watching Cardinals baseball on FSN Midwest. Top of the 4th from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Dan McLaughlin, Al Raboski with you, our Bud Sports crew. 9 up and 9 down with a pair of strikeouts from Matt Morris, and this is the switch-hitting Jose Reyes. Took a good play by Albert Pujols back in the first to retire him. He's 0 for 1. It'll be Reyes, Kaz Matsui, and then Mike Piazza. They could not, the Mets, could not figure out what was the problem with Reyes early on, as he was injured and doesn't even run that thing out as Pujols with a step on the bag. He's missed the better part of this season. Out number 1 to start play here in the top of the 4th. And that'll bring in Kaz Matsui. Matsui struck out swinging back in the first. What a start here for Morris. What a contrast of starts. The last time out, 2/3 of an inning against San Francisco. And here we've seen 10 up and 10 down. Breaking ball has been sharp. His fastball, as we noted early, was in the mid-90s. And when he's throwing that hard, he's allowed to make mistakes in the zone and get away with it. When he's throwing 90 and 89, that's when he gets pounded.
Well, now let's just see if he can get on top of that curveball and have the good 12-6 downer working.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. This is inside, 3-1.
See there, I think Mike Matthews saying, hey, slow down a little bit. Rushing, getting ahead of himself. Such a fine line with Matt, trying to keep his emotions in check and trying not to work too fast or too slow.
On 3-1, there's the first base hit for New York. Matsui, a liner into center field. He's 1 for 2, and it brings in Mike Piazza.
And it was also a pitch, that was up and not where he wanted it.
Well, this is the first time we've ever had this at Busch Stadium. First time ever. Stadium history. A limited number of Cardinal fans will be able to spend the night. You can play catch on the field. These fans will be entertained by various activities. Take that fire out, Al. You can't have that.
No, you cannot do this, and you cannot do this.
All for Cardinals care. And also Camp Coca-Cola St. Louis. It's $250 per person. Kids 4 and under are free. Now, there are some benefits besides being here at Busch. One Lowe's Reserve ticket to the September 19th game against Arizona. Specially designed Cardinals Stadium blanket. Assorted Cardinals souvenirs. And the number to call, operator standing by as we speak, 421-2400. 421-2400. We've been promoting this hard, and it's filling up very quickly. Only a few spots left. We hope you take it in. Friday, September 10th. You check in between 7:30 and 9. Ford Key matchup. Mike Piazza, highest in the major leagues against Matty Moe, a .476 average.
Got him the first time, so that's just about once every 2 plate appearances. So here's his second. He's 0 for 1.
A ball and 2 strikes. So that Lowe's Reserve ticket you get with that promotion to the September 19th game against Arizona. Arizona traded Roberto Alomar yesterday back to the Chicago White Sox. And Jeff Morad, who's one of the top player agents in the game of baseball, as Piazza is out in front and pulls it foul, has accepted a front office position with the Diamondbacks. He's the representative for Manny Ramirez. And Jerry Coangelo is going to step down as CEO of the Diamondbacks.
Well, Joe Garagiola Jr. was an agent before he got to the executive offices of the Diamondbacks.
Big curveball. Piazza caught looking.
That looked like a hot pitch we saw last night from Chris Carpenter. Same thing. The knees are going to buckle. And an outstanding pitch.
Strikeout number 3 for Matt Morris. His curveball is as sharp as we've seen it in a long time.
Everything's sharp.
It's good to see. 2 outs, and the batter is Cliff Floyd. He was the hero, as we showed you, back in that game on May 18th against the Cardinals when Tom Glavine and Matt Morris hooked up at Shea Stadium in New York. Matsui can run a little bit. He's got a short lead, though, from first base. And Floyd hits it foul.
Off his leg when he was in the batter's box. How good could Cliff Floyd be if he wouldn't have had all the injuries throughout his career.
Nasty elbow injuries in his career. Montreal, Boston, Florida, now the Mets. Terrific powered hitter, but yet only 14 home runs this season. Shift is on for Floyd. Hit to second. Luna. Mets strand a man. We head to the fourth. Bottom half of the Cardinals. Roland, Edmonds, and Reggie coming up. Correct moment quote of the day. I felt good. I felt like all of my pitches were there and my location was there. I really felt I had a good game plan going in. Certainly did. Last night's winner, Chris Carpenter, 108 pitches, only 4 hits allowed. He was terrific for the Cardinals. They needed innings from Chris Carpenter, and they got him.
You know, the interesting thing is all the Cardinal pitchers throw the same type of pitches. You know, maybe a small variation, but they all have the same 4 basic pitches.
Roland shoots it foul, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And a lot of times when you set up your rotation, you try to avoid guys that are similar. Well, the Cardinals don't have that luxury, but Carpenter said that was one of the keys, is watching the first 2 games. He worked a pretty good game plan.
I mentioned that the Cardinals needed innings out of Chris Carpenter. The bullpen had been a little taxed with long games. The 12-inning affair with Montreal, they used 6 different pitchers. And Carpenter's a guy that is getting deep into games. And a concern for the Cardinals and for Carpenter was how much wear and tear could he take on this year. And he's answering the bell here in the second half. He has been outstanding for the Cardinals.
I think those were people from Chicago hoping, wishing, you know, saying like Marquis is going to have more career innings, so he's going to break down in the last month or so. I don't think it's going to do it because these guys have stabilized. You know, they've had basically all 6+ inning affairs every time out.
I went back and looked at some of the numbers that I keep in my book, and Chris Carpenter was the 3rd time in 4 starts that he lasted 8 innings and has not exceeded more than 111 pitches, and that's key in those games. He's only been at 120 once this year as Roland shoots it foul and out of play again. And the bullpen, the previous 4 games, had over 20 innings pitched.
You know, the bullpen has been a great part of the success, but it all starts with the starting pitching getting to the second half of the game.
Right.
And getting deep, really getting to the final third.
The 3-2 pitch to Roland. High pop-up, right side, slicing. Hidalgo will give it a look, and it's out of play. Cardinals have Scott Rolen here, followed by Edmonds and then Sanders.
I think they take the pitch counts to an extreme today, but it all originated out of trying to take better care of your pitchers. You can't win without them, and so you better care for them.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 to Scott Rolen. 3 walks handed out by Tom Glavine, 2 to Scott Rolen. I'll give you a good example of that. And I know you love to talk about him, but on FSN Midwest, they're putting together a piece with Brad Stravinger and our crew over in the studios, and it's on the 1964 World Series team. And it talked about how many times Bob Gibson would come back on 3 days rest in the regular season and how many times he did it on 2 days rest in the World Series. Astounding numbers. You just wouldn't see it ever today.
And there's still a lot of guys, you know, that will tell you, a lot of, you know, Pat Dobson, a lot of advanced scouts, guys that pitched in a 4-man rotation, and they said if these guys would only try it, they'd love it.
Sure.
And with a 4-man rotation, they pitched batting practice in between.
Quickly, 0-2 the count on Edmonds.
Johnny Sain, who Tom Glavine learned under, is a minor league pitching coach for many, many years with the Braves. You know, he believed that you have to throw every day. If you don't use it, you lose it.
0-2. Edmonds looks at a ball. Walked his first time up. Left stranded. Sometimes against a guy like Tom Glavine, and we'll keep a watchful eye on this, you can move up in the box. And Edmonds is a guy that has done that in the past. Here's a 1-2 pitch.
Or you can do as Jim has done tonight, move all the way to the back of the box.
Now, if you move up, you take more of the break out of the curveball. You take some of the corners away. But if you move back, you get a little bit of a better read.
Well, or you get it after it's a lot of the break or movement. And in his case, after a lot of the movement is moved through the strikes out zone and out.
Jim stays alive. It's amazing that Edmonds hits for the kind of power he does. 30 home runs, 79 RBIs. And you watch the base of his stance. We'll have a good look at it right there. Huge, wide stance.
But that's why he hits for power, is because he's not fooled on off-speed pitch out in front. He still has his base underneath him.
2-2.
Loads up on the backside. You know, if you have your feet narrow and all of a sudden you've got an off-speed pitcher, you know, that's when you find that your front part of your legs go forward, and then your head and the top part comes with it.
2-2 pitch. Edmonds looks at a ball. Glavine doesn't get that call. It was 0-2, now full.
He wanted that one too.
Jimmy was telling me the other day, I'm still not locked in. I'd be scared to think the kind of numbers he could put up if he was locked in. He's shortened his swing a little bit and driving the baseball. The 3-2 pitch. Edmonds into center. Cameron back, and it's in front of the track, and Scott Rowland has to tag second base and back into first in the nick of time. A lot of topspin off the bat of Edmonds. Swings with that uppercut, and Cameron had to go back and make this play.
Scott Rowland, I think, not that he took it for granted, but you're so used to seeing Jim Edmonds hit home runs that he thought that was another. Had rounded second base, had to retrace his steps. And remember, on that knee, it's hard for him to stop. And he didn't have much time in between.
Cameron repairing some of the shot out there in center field. Former Gold Glover in the American League. He was part of the Ken Griffey Jr. deal. Cameron went to Seattle. Sanders hit it hard the first time up. Had the bases loaded with 2 outs and lined out to Mike Cameron. Those are the kind of at-bats that if the Cardinals fall behind or in a tie ball game, you look back at opportunities, and the Cardinals early on against Glavine had one. Hector Luna is on deck.
Problem was it was 2 outs and hit the ball hard, but lined it right to the center field.
Reggie is in right field tonight.
16 RBIs his last 26 games. Not the big average hitter, but the production numbers are good.
Strike on the inside corner. Only a couple of times we have seen Jerry Crawford give that inside portion of the plate to Tom Glavine with right-handed hitters. And he's only gone inside a few times.
That's his MO. Just goes in enough to keep you off the pitches away.
Now they go outside. Sanders off the end of the bat. That'll stay in the ballpark. Cameron in front of the track. 2 outs. The Red Sox make a deal today for a player that is a left-handed specialist, Mike Myers, the veteran submarine artist that we saw with Seattle. This day in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. 1973. Roberto Clemente becomes the first Latin-born player to be inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. I know you had a chance to face Roberto Clemente.
Well, he ended up with 3,000 hits, and without my contribution, he never would have got there.
Here's Hector Luna with 2 outs and a runner at first. Luna into right field. Hidalgo calls off Mike Cameron. Cardinals strand a man. They've left 4 on tonight. We head to the 5th. One of the great catches in the history of Cardinals baseball, robbing Gorman Thomas of a home run back in 1982 as Willie McGee busted on the scene as a youngster for St. Louis. This is Mike Cameron. That shot before was a famous call from Mike Shannon as Glenn Brummer was stealing home. That's fouled back and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. No score here in the 5th. Pitchers duel. 1 hit aside. It'll be Cameron, Hidalgo, and David Wright. Now we understand now that the Rocky Mountain News has reported that the St. Louis Cardinals have traded for outfielder Larry Walker. So he would have to clear waivers. He's due to make a ton of money next season, around $15 to $17 million. But the Rocky Mountain News reporting that, and we understand that Larry Walker was scratched from the lineup tonight for the Colorado Rockies. That's a line shot into right center, and it's cut off by Edmonds. Edmonds settles. Thought there might be a play at second, but Cameron trots in there with a leadoff double. Now the Cardinals have denied that a trade has been made, but the Rocky Mountain News in Denver reporting that Larry Walker's on his way to St. Louis, and he has been scratched from the lineup tonight for the Colorado Rockies.
Okay, so let's say we reported it, they've denied it, and let's just wait and see if it happens or doesn't happen.
That would be, boy, you're talking about a tremendous outfielder, unbelievable arm, and still a great hitter. And I know some people say, well, look at the numbers outside of Coors Field. His numbers are pretty darn good all over the place.
He was one of the best players in the game when he was in Montreal.
You got it.
And that was outside of Denver.
Here's Richard Hidalgo. Cameron is the runner at second base. Leadoff double. This is the kind of game that, boy, Al, you just feel maybe 1 run, 2 runs. That could decide it with the way these two guys have been pitching.
And that's why it's important to get back to this game.
Pitch that's up, fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I didn't quite understand the Hidalgo trade from the Astros standpoint.
Then they go out and get Beltran.
Remember, he hit .341, 4 home runs, 22 RBIs in April. Slumped a little bit after that, but you know, the Dotel trade, that was their Achilles heel. They got David Weathers, Jeremy Griffiths in the trade for Hidalgo, but then they tried to go and replace him too. Tony moving the defense around a little bit. Looked like it was Luna that moved. Mets trying to hang in there under Art Howe.
A ball and a strike on Hidalgo. Cameron, the runner at second base. Two and 1 is the count. Hidalgo fly to center his first time up, and that ended the second inning. Leadoff double by their center fielder. 2 balls, 1 strike on Hidalgo. Pop foul out of play, 2-2. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. No score here in the 5th. Curveball. Oh, and Morris does not get the call. That was a nasty pitch. Full count.
I think both these pitchers are pitching tremendous games, and both of them are, I'm not going to say begging, but would like to have a couple pitches called.
Walk to Hidalgo, first and second. Little trouble here for Matty Moe. And nobody out. The batter will be David Wright. Our last time to talk about this, Al, the Mad Hungarian Legends Classic coming up Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, the golf's pretty more, it's closed out, but if you want to come to the gala party on Sunday night at the Ritz-Carlton, that'll be in force, 6:30 to about 10 o'clock. It'll be a pairings party. The Fabulous Motown Review will be entertaining All the 32 different celebrities will be there, and great auction items, silent auction items, and some oral auction. Thank you for your contributions. Some of the things you've helped me with from the Blues, and the Cardinal players have been very, very generous. But you know, Snooks and Anheuser-Busch have got different things for us. Michael Genovese, Jewelers, Mike Shannon, you know, restaurant. Fairmont Park, we got all kinds of things that are not just sports memorabilia.
Can't wait for the gala on Sunday. That was a lot of fun last year, and Wayne Hagan was your MC last year. I'll do it this year. There's a ground ball. How about two? Rolling. Luna. First base double play. Exactly what Matt Morris needed. 5-4-3 double play. And now there's a runner at third base. 2 outs, and the batter will be Phillips. Good turn by Luna at second base. He's been versatile this year. Tonight's hot pitch of the game is brought to you by Hardee's.
Well, Matt has induced 21 of these ground ball double plays. Curveball, he tries to pull it right off the end of the bat. When you throw it to Scott Rowland, the Gold Glover, and they can turn it in the infield. But that's a pitcher's best friend, and now all of a sudden you'll see Matt back out there and knows he can put him away here with the 8th place hitter.
Wouldn't be bad if he fell behind and wound up having to walk Phillips and then deal with the pitcher on deck, and that is Tom Glavine.
Well, what you do is you try to go after this hitter, but if you fall behind, you know you don't have to groove a pitch. So you try to get him to go expand his zone and get himself out. And that was an indication right there of the additional movement. Now there's 3-0. They'll go ahead and walk him. But on that 3-0 pitch, I think it just showed how much movement there is on Matt's pitches tonight.
Almost looked like he was crossed out.
Yeah, awkward catch by Matheny because of the movement. Now this strategy only works if you get the hitter out.
You got that right. First and third, 2 outs. The batter is Tom Glavine. Matt Morris fell behind on Glavine 3-0 and eventually got him to tap back to the mound. The first pitch. Luna. Long way to go. Settles. Yes. Good play by Hector Luna from the outfield grass. The fans love it here at Busch. Luna's all over the place. The Mets half of the 5th. A 5-4-3 double play with the runner bearing down on him. That's a quick 2 outs, and he makes the third, ranging to his left. No score on FSN.
All right, Looney, Jake, make the throw. Atta, baby. Good play.
John Mabry enjoying the work of Hector Luna, playing second base tonight. Luna getting the start with Tom Glavine, a left-hander on the mound. You see at the end of that dugout, Tony Womack. Of course, Marlon Anderson hits from the left side as well. Heard from Marlon on our pregame show as he gave us a little scout report about facing Tom Glavine. One of the best. Only 3 hits in this game. Cardinals half of the 5th. Cardinals with 1 of those 3. That was all the way back in the first from Albert Pujols. This is Mike Matheny. He flied to right his first time up. Out front, pops it up. Shortstop wants it. Matsui is there for out number 1. Cardinals will wrap up the homestand this weekend. And we say hello to you on Tuesday night. The Cardinals return to the field. They'll take on Paul Lo Duca. That's right, Paul Lo Duca and the world champion Florida Marlins. Coverage begins 5:30 with Cardinals tonight. And it's only here on your home of Cardinals baseball, FSN Midwest. Here's Matt Morris. Good to see him bounce back in this start tonight. And a strike at the knees on the outside corner.
I was just talking with Jerry Walker, one of Walt Jocketty's chief lieutenants and former general manager of Detroit. And he said he can't confirm, can't deny anything. He hadn't talked to Walt since 4 o'clock. He's over in Walt's box, but Walt's not there.
And we leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll find out soon enough. But it sure is fun to talk about. and to think about. And I called out Matt Morris.
Matt looked back and said, you know, can I have that one?
Well, you could see Matt Morris frustrated with this zone, just like Tom Glavine has been at points in time tonight. The hot hitter with smooth base running is the Ford Focus with $3,000 cash back or low, 0% financing to qualified buyers. Only at your quality Ford stores. Your home run to Cardinal baseball fun.
Got a charming lady in Edwardsville, Illinois, who turned 84 today. Florence Woodside. Happy birthday, Florence, from your daughter Donna, Gary, Kelly, and your grandchildren.
So Taguchi is 0 for 2. Up the middle. Matsui won't get it. And it's a base hit for Sho Taguchi, the Cardinals' second hit. And Sho is 1 for 3 in that leadoff spot.
Well, like all good pitchers, and Tom Glavine is a very good one. Sometimes you get those base hits, they come after 2 outs. It's only the second hit, and the second time the hit comes in an inning after the first 2 are retired.
Happy birthday to Greg Whipke, the nephew of Kim Eberly, who works over at Fox Sports Net and in our truck tonight. Happy birthday, Greg. 2 outs. The batter is Edgar Renteria.
Happy 72nd birthday to Rosemary Lunetto. There's our Fox score. Base hit there, and first aim by Pujols, then followed by a couple walks. A leadoff walk in the 4th, and maybe Renteria can get something started here in the Cardinals' 5th after the base hit by Taguchi.
That's what he can do so well. Throw by Piazza on the money. Cardinals are done as Sho Taguchi is picked off. Just 4 hits in this ball game. 6th inning coming up. Glavine will lead things off. 6 on FSN Midwest. What's on tap? Brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. That's an old school pennant right there. The new Busch Memorial Stadium.
You know, the new one will be the 3rd Busch Stadium in this town.
Sportsman's Park. Later called Busch Stadium. Then they moved to Busch Stadium, this current ballpark, in 1966. And next year will be its final year. Jose Reyes chops it off the plate. Morris flips. 1 down. That's a guy that you want off the base paths. So Reyes, the leadoff man, retired for the 3rd time, 0 for 3. And it brings in Matsui, 1 for 2 with a strikeout. Talked about the National League wild card race. Kevin Millwood flies back to Philadelphia, and there's Todd Zeile. One of the teams he played with was the Phillies.
Al Leiter alongside of pitching Sunday night.
Kevin Millwood had to fly back. They're playing on the West Coast. They swept the Padres, so that's a key series for them, but his comfort in his elbow, and they're afraid that he may have to miss the remainder of the season. That would be a huge blow. Kevin Millwood. Take a look at their box score. The Mets, we showed you the Cardinals. Pitchers duel tonight.
It's a good one by 2 good pitchers.
0-2 is the count on Matsui. Mike Piazza on deck. Curveball hit into center. Line drive base hit. Not the 0-2 pitch that Morris wanted. This week, the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week is back with what promises to be the greatest season in recent memory. The Mets hope to get back in the playoff hunt. They're 7.5 games out in the wild card. They'll battle the Cardinals tomorrow right here at Busch. Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, noon on KTBI here in St. Louis. Another team over in the American League fighting for the wild card, Chicago. They're 5 games back in the wild card, 6 games out in the Central. They find out that they're going to miss Frank Thomas for the remainder of the season. Big lead over there by Matsui at first. So Matsui, the leader, is our leadoff man at first base, and you've got Frank Thomas, stress fracture, done for the year. Are those sliding gloves, Al?
Yes. They look like if he wants to box.
Do a little sparring, maybe?
A little sparring.
Soccer goalies, you see gloves like that.
There'll be a promotion pretty soon.
Where's the baseball police, too? Look at his back pocket. Can't do that. Quick move by Morris. Safe over at first is Matsui.
Matsui making a statement for Rookie of the Year status. And there you see the flagrant violation.
Morris would love another double play here. The ball gets away from Matheny. A wild pitch charge to Matt Morris.
Mike Matheny we saw last night and made his first error after 252 games, but like last night, abandoning his drop to his knees and blocking a ball in the dirt, and that's a rarity for Mike. It's charged as a wild pitch, but you're just not used to seeing any pitch get by.
Major league record without an error of 1,565 chances. You mentioned the game's 252. We talk about streaks in the game of baseball. You wonder when that one will be matched behind the plate. Maybe a long, long time. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Nearly 2 seasons. Talked about this being our Ford Key matchup, Piazza and Morris. Piazza nearly a .500 hitter against the Cardinal right-hander. Ahead in the count, 2 balls, 1 strike. Piazza is struck out tonight and grounded to third. Grounds to third again. Backing up, rolling. Here comes a bullet. Right over to Pujols.
Should have taken 3 more crow hops.
How about a pitch by pitch? This feature is brought to you by Chevrolet.
Well, as a pitcher, and you know somebody has good success against you, you really use that as an incentive. Had the breaking ball, then his sinker, he throws in the dirt, and that repeats it again. And there he comes back in with a sinker and an awkward swing and a ground out. That's how you answer your critics. You know, you say, okay, you guys don't think I throw hard? I'll show you that. You don't think I can get people out or put zeros up? He's doing that tonight. And Piazza kind of said, I owned you, Matt. And Matt Morris is answering that one, too.
Cliff Lloyd, the hitter. 2 outs. Matsui is the runner at second base. With Floyd, we have seen a shift put on by the Cardinals, but even more the reason why is to keep Matsui somewhat close at second base, and that's why Renteria is near the bag. Edmonds shades him a bit to right field, but for the most part, straight away. That one is pulled foul. What a gorgeous night for baseball on August 6th here in St. Louis. It's supposed to be about 100 degrees out. It's perfect. Feels like last weekend in San Francisco.
Dave Murray was telling everyone to bring a jacket as the temperature's going to drop through the night.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Floyd into deep right field, and the Mets have the lead. On one swing of the bat, New York leads it 2-0. Cliff Floyd with number 15, and he crushed it. A problem for Morris this year has been home runs allowed. That's the 27th that he has allowed, second most in the National League, and only 1 behind Milton of Philadelphia.
A changeup that was up out over the plate. Yes, it was, and that's that pitch he's experimenting with, and I think he's given up a lot of his home runs on it, where he's not been able. One, he can change speeds, but he's leaving it up. Very hittable up in the zone.
Curveball, that's hittable. That was hanging on a tee for Mike Cameron.
This is where Matt Morris, right now, and Mike Matheny's taking 5 steps out on the grass to just kind of say, come on now, don't give in, don't surrender. The home run is already hit, but don't finish off your pitches. breaking ball, but it hung up there a little bit. Here's a changeup, but you see it's up right there, and he just jumps all over it. Ideally, you want that pitch to be down and away, and when you got him out in front a little bit, they swing over the top.
Here's Hidalgo, something that I'm sure Dave Duncan, teammates, and Tony La Russa will watch. The body language of Matt Morris. He gives up a home run, falls behind. That has been something they've been very watchful of. Slugging the shoulders and just not a real aggressive personality once he falls behind.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, you know runs are going to be in a premium tonight. You've already given up 2 runs. It's a natural reaction to be upset and to feel like, you're staring an L in the face. But that's what you got to fight. You got to sit there and say, okay, they got 2. They're not going to get any more.
With this offense and the way that this team has had a propensity to come back in games, 2 runs seems like nothing. That ball was smoked into the seats, and hopefully the fans down there near that left field line are going to be all right.
And that's what Matt has to take that approach, saying, hey, if I put up zeros from this point forward, my team is good enough that they will come back and score enough runs. I may not get the win, but we don't get a team L.
Runner is going, throw to second. Not in time. Stolen base from Mike Cameron.
Another thing is you kind of forget a little bit about those base runners, and Cameron, that's his 16th steal in 19 attempts.
Pretty good lead and a good jump.
Good jump, off and running, and steals it off of Matt.
Two balls, 1 strike on Hidalgo. Walked his last time up. He's fly to center. Curveball, foul back. And Hidalgo would love to have that pitch back. He was swinging from his heels.
Well, this is, kind of where we talked a little bit about tipping pitches. When you see some pitches and a guy's really getting good swings at it, not fooled. But I will tell you this. Hidalgo's former teammate, Jeff Bagwell,
2-2 pitch.
told me Matt Morris tipped pitches the year he won 22 ball games.
And obviously the club is not going to say this is what he's doing.
Well, and maybe we'll show how hitters, and because of the usage of video, they can really study and look for things to see if they're tip-offs. But I'm not a believer that that these guys, because still the hardest thing in sports is to hit a moving fastball, a moving pitch.
On 3-2, high in the air, right field. Reggie's there. So Hidalgo is 0 for 2 on the night. 2-0 with Renteria, Pujols. The ball game. 2-0 Mets. Cardinals half of the 6th. Renteria the first man, and he takes a ball. Cardinals will have Renteria, Pujols, and Scott Rowland. 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Redbirds have been out hit 5-2 in this game. 1-0 pitch. Edgar into deep left center. Cameron on the move near the wall, and it's off the wall. Edgar heading towards second. Leadoff double for Renteria. And Cameron is one of those players that is terrific at going back and robbing home runs and crashing into the wall, and he almost robbed that extra base hit away from Edgar Renteria. Great effort by Cameron in center.
Cameron has twice as many errors as Jim Edmonds, but you're right. He's one of those guys that can make some highlight films with spectacular catches and pulling home runs back. Never quite got there to that one, and I think it actually hits a little bit. He gets the carom off the wall right into the rib cage or side.
May have gotten lucky. And I don't know if he even got a piece on that without it hitting the wall.
I think it hit the wall and then carom hit him in the body. But you know what? This is what this offense can do. They appreciate this effort by Matt Morris, and so they're going to come out and try and reward him. Cameron. And that's you like to see your fielders like that. Instead of trying to say,
Little blooper, that drops for a hit. Renteria being waved home. RBI for Albert Pujols, number 79. Redbirds on the board, and it's 2-1 Mets. Good piece of hitting from Albert on a very tough pitch, low and away.
Well, but you get those hits when you go up with a form or with the proper mental approach, and that is looking for the ball out away from you and trying to just make contact. Don't try and make a vicious swing and roll over and hit a ground ball to short. Go with the pitch and just trying to make contact, and he's strong enough to muscle it over the infield. And you know what? Pujols and Edmonds have quite an RBI race going. They're both tied again at 79.
Here's Scott Rowland. Edmonds on deck. Boy, this lineup is tough. If you're just joining us, the Rocky Mountain News reporting that Larry Walker has been traded to St. Louis. Add him to this lineup. Yikes.
Where is he back?
It's a great question. Where does a guy like Walker fit in? And a left-handed bat at that.
That's Tony's problem.
What a problem to have. Good luck, Tony. I'm sure you'll accept the challenge. 1 ball, 1 strike on Rowland.
It's worked so well with Pujols, Rowland, Edmonds. You really want to tinker and put Pujols, Edmonds, Rowland, Walker, or something like that.
Maybe go, and I know what you're saying. And it is a concern to have the 2 lefties, Edmonds, Walker, if you had that. 2 lefties back to back. Rowland is jammed. Of course, you could go right, left, right, left. Cardinals, by the way, have denied that a trade has been made. But we have heard that the broadcasters in Colorado have reported it. The Rocky Mountain News has reported it. And Walt Jocketty may have pulled off another one. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Scott Rowland. This crowd has come alive as that one shoots into that Mets dugout. And near that trade deadline, something that the Cardinals maybe considered number 1, considering team chemistry. This is a very tight-knit group, and they wouldn't make a deal like that unless they felt Walker would fit into their plans and that the big guns have been talked to about something like that. The 2-2 pitch. Rowland to the opposite field. That'll be caught by Hidalgo. Back to first. Pujols.
Well, Danny, I had one of the big guns tell me before the trade deadline that he'd play for the minimum next year if they got Walker and Randy Johnson.
Is that right?
Yeah. I said, well, your agent and the Players Association won't allow you.
They may have a
and then he kind of rephrased it and said, well, I'll defer it. And I said, well, they've got to pay you.
Yeah. At some point, it's got to come your way.
The team has to pay that money.
Here's Edmonds. Sanders on deck. Big crowd on this Friday night. They're loving it right now here in the bottom of the 6th with the Cardinals starting to get something going. Edmonds with a pitch that is up and in. Let's see where Glavine goes with this one. A lot of teams you'll see out and away. That's what you got.
Well, I mean, it's every pitch he had thrown prior to that first one was away tonight. So just to send a little message, don't dive across the plate. You never know when I might come back in.
Edmonds has got an uppercut, high ball hitter, and yet great numbers.
Change up.
Showing bunt, a beauty, down the third base line. Rolling, stay fair, stay fair, stay fair. Yes! How about that? Fair ball for Edmonds. Fans on their feet. You gotta love that. A guy with 30 home runs, 79 RBIs, and puts down a perfect bunt.
Well, you look at the defense, and that's what Jim Edmonds saw. You see how far the third baseman has to run. The only thing they can do, and they did the right thing, to let it roll. And eventually it starts rolling towards the foul line, but it stays right in the middle of the chalk.
How about the work there from John Lawrence, our cameraman, following that down the line. Great work, John.
All the camera guys, John and the bunch, are the best in the business.
Now this crowd really into it. 1 out. Runners at first and second. Luna on deck. Sanders 0 for 2 with a pair of flyouts.
First one lined out with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
Second time was to center field again. That first time hit the ball hard, but right at Mike Cameron. And Busch Stadium is ready to erupt.
Shading Reggie a little bit to right center. Floyd well off the left field line, but that's where they know that Tom Glavine can just paint the outside. Phillips says outside.
They pitch him outside. Cameron in right center field, but you look, if he makes a mistake, left center field is wide open.
Well, if he pulls one to normal shortstop, it's wide open. But if you pull one down the left field corner, and the guys in the truck are sending that message again. It's that time. Game time.
Can't blame them. They get hot and thirsty down there. Boy, Glavine thrives on situations like this. Cy Young Award winner in the past. Future Hall of Famer. Possible 300-game winner. He's been there before. And gets the ground ball left side, but that's what you're talking about. Matsui not in time. Bases loaded for Luna. Exactly what you were talking about, Al.
It's just, defensively, they had him to where he, and thinking he could not pull the ball. That was really straight away shortstop. Third baseman can't make it. The shortstop, Matsui, does a nice job to get over to it. By the time he slides to a stop and gets it to second base, Edmonds hustling all the way, and he's right there safe.
And Glavine's thinking, are you kidding me? Jim Edmonds puts down a bunt, and now this infield hit.
And the way he went into Reyes, it was nice and clean, but there was no way they could complete the double play. Who hopes is a big cheerleader now. This is what this team's all about. It's team, not I.
Luna, bases loaded. 1 out for the rookie. Cardinals had the bases loaded against Tom Glavine back in the first. You don't get many cracks at this left-hander. You got to cash in when you have a shot. This is one of them.
And this way is matchups that, Glavine usually thrives in. But Luna is not your typical Rule 5 player. He's a guy that's pretty well disciplined. And Oquendo's kind of yelling down at him, watch the ball, watch the release point, think the ball out away from the plate.
4 hits in the inning. Luna slices it foul. Now watch out here is Tom Glavine, a master at this.
Well, they moved inside that time. He had tried to have a good inside-out stroke. But he went inside to try and get him out of the way.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Rosemary Linetto on her 72nd birthday is rooting for Luna.
Ball outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cardinals' second baseman tonight.
So is Debbie Emshoff. Happy 47th. Defense, you see where they are. Playing him around to right. And particularly in center and right field.
The 1-2 pitch. Ooh. Almost got away, but it stays 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Mike Matheny's on deck.
Looked like Phillips saw that ball in the dirt a little bit, wanted to check the runner at third, and almost brought up the glove a little bit too soon. Glavine really looks worried.
2-2 on Luna. Hector does the job into right center. The doggo, very strong arm, tagging up. Pujols to the plate. This game is tied. Hector with the RBI, number 15. Good at bat after falling behind 0-2.
You really like him so much, and it was an easy decision to keep him You have to keep him at the big league level all each season or offering back for half the waiver price of $50,000 to Cleveland. But he is a keeper. Deep enough. Hidalgo went to his right and still came up with a strong throw. And Tony's surveying this, and he's very appreciative of that slide. Trying not to show any emotion, but his stomach just took another Rolaids.
First and third, 2 outs. How about a 2-out hit here from Mike Matheny? So here's the situation with 2 runners on. Edmonds, the bunt hit, moves up to third base on that play. Moves from second to third. Reggie Sanders, after his infield hit, stays at first base.
A lot of times, Sanders would go to try and go it anyway, but then to force maybe they would think they had an out there and not at the plate.
Matheny takes a ball up and in. Mike is 0 for 2 on the night. And how about his production from the 8th spot in the order? Mike Matheny not playing on an everyday basis when the youngster Molina got called up, and yet Mike Matheny with 33 RBIs.
Anything he gives you offensively is a plus.
Little chopper to second. Reyes is there. Cardinals strand 2. They've left 6 on in the night. But they have tied it up. They have answered. It's now a 2-2 game. Some small ball. Thank you, Jim Edmonds, in this inning. 7th inning from Bush coming up. What a ball game. 2-2. Guards and Mets. Top of the 7th. It'll be David Wright, Jason Phillips, and Tom Glavine. Pitchers duel. Let's see if Morris will bounce back after giving up that 2-run home run. 1 pitch and 1 out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals, LLC. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals, LLC. Now it's Phillips. 0 for 1. Strike 1. Grounded to third. Also walked. Curveball popped up. That was a sharp one. Morris is there, called off by Scotty.
That's how you do it, Julian. Hey, Danny, got a disturbing note that unfortunately we have these things happen, but Cardinal family lost one of their great Cardinal fans after a long illness, age 80. John Middleton from Salem, Missouri. He was just one of the biggest Cardinal fans ever and watched all of our games, sat and watched the games with his son Patrick. And we're so sorry to hear that his passing. And he was a great Cardinal fan, Patrick, and to the Middleton family of Rolla, we send our deepest sympathies.
2-0 here on Tom Glavine. Again, Morris falling behind against his counterpart. Glavine is 0 for 2. The 2-0 pitch. Morris doesn't get the call, and you can see that Matheny had to reach for it as he set up on the outside corner, but it looked like a strike. 3-0. That's a strike. 3-1.
Former Cardinal and Mets, former MVP of the National League, Keith Hernandez, who's doing a little broadcasting with the Mets tonight, is in our booth trying to get some pointers from you, Danny.
Pointers, huh?
Pointers.
On?
Winning baseball.
I can tell you, he does a good commercial. Pujols steps on the bag. Keith Hernandez with us up in the booth.
Good commercial, huh?
With Walt Frazier, one of the best. Donna Miller is tonight's merchandise winner, the Hyundai Long Drive Inning Sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th, Donna will qualify for the Hyundai Santa Fe drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. Matt Morris, 0 for 2 tonight to lead things off for the Cardinals. It'll be Morris, Taguchi, and then Renteria. Ground ball, hard hit. Right at the shortstop. Bobble, throw to first, and that gets away. Morris on his way to second base. A routine ground ball and an error by Matsui, and he's made a bunch of them this season, and that one could prove to be awfully costly for the Mets.
It's his 23rd error, and it's a question, do you give him two of them? Their routine play, he drops it right there, then he slings it. There's his, should be a second error. Shortstop's Piazza. We saw Piazza have trouble with the balls down, but you're not supposed to get a ball down there from your shortstop. And it's a two-base error, but they could have given him two on the play. He's made 23 errors. He's got a lot of top numbers for rookies in the National League, but to me, that 23 errors speaks volumes.
So now you've got a bunting situation here for So Taguchi, and then the big guys in this lineup coming up. Taguchi, remember, popped up that bunt the other night, wound up being a double play, then misplayed a ball in left that led to a game-tying home run. He squares and takes a ball. Now, something that can be curious here is to watch a pitcher run, and that's, of course, Matt Morris. He needs to get a secondary lead, and if you're asking Taguchi to bunt, Al, where do you go? Do you go to Piazza at first or third base?
Well, you bunt to third base. You bunt it hard enough to get it by the pitcher to make the third baseman field it. And now the Mets are going through their defensive plays. You see how they do this? You know, they can flash sign to all the position players, but to the pitcher you have to verbally tell them.
You tell them wheel play.
And in this case, it's the wheel play. So they can do a lot of different things with a pitcher out there. They're not accustomed to be base runners. And you put on a couple sequence, and now Phillips said the rookie got it wrong. And now we do it again. So Wright, the third baseman, is giving the signs to everybody else in the infield.
Glavine says, all right, you got it, rookie?
You got it, kid?
This is what we do.
Don't tell me the wrong thing when the game's tied. So Phillips, who's close to the dugout, I wouldn't be surprised
if Taguchi took it off.
If they take it off, and because just watching the way the defense is, the shortstop is so close to second base, the third baseman's playing in. You've chopped down on the ball and make sure that you don't hit into a line drive. And
you might think about pinch running in this spot, and I'm sure that's what they're going to do as we have this little delay. So Jerry Crawford singling up to the press box, and now you've got
Matt, you get a nice applause. Nice going, Matt Morris.
Marlon Anderson, the pinch runner. Nice applause, and you put Morris in a situation where, you know what, you can't lose the ball game.
Can't lose. He did his job, and we're going to take our best shot with nobody out to get you the win.
Tavares now getting loose in the bullpen if the Cardinals can take the lead here.
And, Danny, you can do that move because of Chris Carpenter's 8 innings last night. Everybody in the bullpen but Izzy got a day off, and he just got a 1-inning shot. You're into this game late, so it's a perfect time to reward your pitcher.
I like this move.
It's a good move. Now it's up to the execution of the players from now on.
And it's a better runner out there at second base than Marlon Anderson.
See, that's what we talk about, like the shortstop stands behind the runner at second base, then he'll break towards third, trying to draw the runner further away. And at that time, then the second baseman tries to sneak behind as the pitcher whirls, getting the inference of whirl play, whirls to throw to second.
Bunt by Taguchi, perfect. Sacrifice is good. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Matsui. Nobody feels more worse out there than Matsui does right now after his botched play that led to Matt Morris going to second base and setting up the sacrifice situation. And now you've got Renteria, Mike Dejean. He's throwing in the bullpen now for the Mets.
Former Cardinal that they acquired around the trading deadline. So nice going. So that was so uncharacteristic for him the other night to pop a ball up in a bunting situation, and then not to run, get part of a double play, then lose the ball in the lights. And he felt terrible. He's a good kid. So they're going to stick with Glavine. It's his game. Art Howe had a talk with him, set the defense in the infield, talk about the strategy with Renteria. A lot of hitters in this situation put too much pressure on themselves.
Infield is drawn in. Renteria could give the Cardinals the lead, sitting on 48 RBIs. He takes the ball on the inside corner. One out, Pujols on deck. Anderson is the runner at third. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Good changeup. Edgar out in front.
Glavine is so good with that changeup. All of his pitches come out of the same delivery, so you can't get a read, and the changeup looks the same as the fastball until it stops about 3/4 of the way and then starts falling.
Here's a 1-1. 2-1. By the way, Rocky Mountain News reports Rockies will pick up roughly $9 million of the $17.5 remaining on Walker's contract, and that Larry Walker is headed to St. Louis. Cardinals continue to deny the report. On 2-1, pop foul out of play. That would mean the Rockies would save nearly about $8.5 million.
I'll say it this way. Jerry Walker said, speaking of Larry Walker, said, who denied it? He said, I can't confirm it.
Larry Walker recently put his Denver area home up for sale.
Saw that.
The 2-2 pitch. This is inside. Edgar has been Mr. Clutch over the years in St. Louis. I think a logical question, if Larry's on his way to St. Louis, Edgar's a free agent after this year. Plenty of time to talk about that. The 3-2 pitch. Oh. Got him on a changeup.
One of the best clutch hitters in the game, and one of our guys you want to see up in this situation, but this time he doesn't come through. Waite was going forward, and he didn't stay behind the ball. That's where strikeouts are so overrated. That was a time that Tom Glavine needed a strikeout, and he got it.
Now for Tom Glavine, pick your poison. You want to deal with Pujols here. You've got Rolen on deck. First pitch was a strike to Albert. Pujols tonight with an RBI, a run scored, and 2 hits. Ooh, that just missed inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Come on, Albert. 2-out hit here would give the Cardinals a lead. Inside the Pujols, 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Albert pops it up. Out of play. We understand Dan O'Dowd, the general manager of the Rockies.
I got the Cardinals confirming it right now.
The Cardinals have confirmed it. Larry Walker.
Details will follow. So now we can smile, and now we can say that's a nice problem to have.
On 2-2, he delivers with 2 outs. Up the middle. Albert makes it 3-2. St. Louis. How good is this guy? 3 hits tonight against Tom Glavine.
Well, he is so good because he's so strong, and yet he swings like he's at times a little Punch and Judy. He doesn't overswing. He prides himself in making contact. He trusts those hands. And what it is he holds his hands back to the last second, and then he trusts that they will get to the point of contact, even almost throwing the bat at him.
Now we understand that deal. Cardinals acquire outfielder Larry Walker in cash considerations from the Rockies for minor league pitcher Jason Birch, and 2 players to be named later.
That is, to me, I don't care about Jason Birch. You know, what's the chances he's going to be here? We got a chance to have an impact player for the rest of the year.
And next year, another pickoff move. Pujols could be gunned down here. He's in the hot box. Piazza high throw runs into the All-Star. Both those two don't want to get hurt. What a fun night here at the ballpark. Cardinals get Larry Walker. Albert Pujols 3-hit night. And the go-ahead RBI. 3-2. Redbirds as we head to the 8th. Towards a division title, catch the ideal keepsake. To commemorate this remarkable team, it's the Cardinals yearbook, loaded with photographs of your favorite players. Makes a great gift for every Cardinals fan. Reserve your copy by calling 982-7336. 982-7336. They've just announced the trade up here in the press box, and I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction of the fans here at Busch when they put it up. This is our call to the bullpen, brought to you by the official hotel of Cardinal Broadcast on Fox Sports Net, Renaissance Grand Hotel. And Julian Tavares, who has been nursing a sore Achilles heel, will come in. Hasn't seen a lot of action lately, but he did pick up the win Wednesday with Pujols' walk-off home run. He threw 11 pitches in that appearance. That's it.
And he looked like no worse for wear that day, other than the verbal assaults he got from his infielders for catching a little pop-up fly with Womack standing right on his toes. Maybe that's how he got hurt his Achilles heel.
Maybe so. Here's Reyes. Showing bunt. Looks at a ball. So Matt Morris in line for the victory. If the bullpen can make it stand. And you've had to put up with me all night. I've been giddy all night hearing about this Larry Walker trade, and I'm excited. I mean, think about the lineup that the Cardinals will trot out there. If you're the opposing team, and you see in the middle of that lineup Renteria, Pujols, Rolen, Edmonds, Sanders, and Larry Walker, not in that order, but looking at those players, you're thinking this is, without question, hands down the best lineup in baseball. It already was without Larry Walker, but now you add him to the mix. It's scary to think what kind of production this team could have.
And I've always liked Larry as a person.
Me too. Throw over to first. Good play by Edgar to his left. So Larry Walker on his way to St. Louis. He is cleared out of Colorado. .315 career hitter, closing in on 400 home runs, over 1,200 RBIs, closing in on 2,000 games played. He's a terrific outfielder with a great arm. So that's another question mark, is defensively. And for people that have followed Larry Walker during his career in Colorado and Montreal, they tell us he is a fantastic base runner as well. Another facet to his game. But a guy that plays right field, so Reggie Sanders more than likely moves to left.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing. A lot of people looked at left field, but there was no reason why you couldn't get a right fielder and move all the interchangeable guys to left.
1 ball, 1 strike on Kaz Matsui.
Reggie's left arm, or his arm, is more suited for left field than right. Sanders.
Yeah. A trade like this also says, from an organization's standpoint, as this one is popped up, Reggie on the move. He'll make the play. 2 outs. Is this out? We did not make this deal at the deadline, and we felt that our pitching was plenty good enough to win. Starting 5, and of course one of the best bullpens in the game right now.
Well, we go back to, you know, your assessment, all of our assessments, that all the, you know, national media was forgetting that You have a very fair ballpark here, and you have the best defense, and Walker will enhance that.
Good point.
That, you know, you don't have to have an exceptional pitching staff. You have to throw strikes, keep the ball in the ballpark, don't walk people, let them hit the ball, and the defense will do a lot for you.
Cubs get Nomar. Cardinals get Larry Walker.
He will not be eligible for postseason play. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hold on now.
Yeah, I'm brain dead. I'm getting my deadlines fixed. That's the August 31st.
Right. Plus they get him for next year. A lot of questions to be answered as far as lineups, where you play him.
You got me all giddy.
I'm sorry. I'm excited too. They have not told the fans here at the ballpark just yet. On 2-1, be careful here with Piazza. He could lose one in a hurry. Now it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. This guy is certain Hall of Famer, Mike Piazza. 0 for 3 in the game tonight. Two and 2 is the count. 2 outs. No runners on. Redbirds about hit the Mets 7-5. Ray King has been getting loose in the bullpen. 2-2 pitch. Drops down. Hit into shallow left. Taguchi. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Rowland, Edmonds, Sanders. They have put it up on the big screen. But the Cardinals have acquired Larry Walker, and Busch Stadium erupted as people started to look up, and fans were pointing up there saying, read this. Roll it into left center field. Cameron on the move. He won't get it. Ground rule double for Scott Rowland. On base for the 3rd time tonight with a pair of walks. Right over the Budweiser sign and into the seats, and some insurance would be lovely right about now.
See, pitch out away, and he stays right on it, stays behind it, plugs the gap out in the left center, hops over the truck's favorite sign, the game time sign from Budweiser, and into the seats. You saw the center fielder Cameron throw his hands up. He's trying to help the umpires know that the ball is a ground rule double.
Edmonds bunted for a hit last time. Now you would hope he could either pull the ball to allow the runner at second, Scott Rowland, to advance from second to third, or drive him in. Third baseman David Wright, even with the bag, well off the line, but hey, after that bunt, you've got to respect it in this situation.
Yeah, you hit the ball straight right out to shortstop spot. You know, and it's going to go through the outfield. But you're right. You either pull it or you drive it right through there.
Early game tomorrow here at Busch Stadium. You wonder if Larry Walker will be in the lineup. 12:20 will be the first pitch here at Busch. Edmonds. Not happy.
You see how they play their shortstop so close to the second base bag, the third baseman guarding against the bunt again. But if you can just drive the ball this way and plug the gap out there, or ideally, you know, you hit it this way, and even if it's at a fielder and it's an out, at least the runner's going to advance and be 1 out and a runner at third base.
Don't want to see Edmonds give this bat away, which he has not been doing, and that's something that we touched on earlier, Al. He gets 2 strikes, and sometimes he'll give it bats away. It's 2 and 2.
He's hung really tough against left-handers this season. There were some left-handers in the past that you could just, you know, you just say, okay, this is an out, but not this year.
Like we said, you've got to get that runner to third base. The 2-2 pitch. Edmonds a swing and a miss. Out number 1. Did not come through there, but he is part of our SBC Yahoo DSL connection of the day, brought to you by Yahoo DSL. A picture-perfect bunt from Edmonds, and that was back in the 6th inning. So again, if you're just joining us, the Cardinals have picked up Larry Walker. and cash considerations from the Rockies for minor league pitcher Jason Birch.
It's unbelievable. They're celebrating with fireworks.
Jason Birch and 2 players to be named later.
Town is going crazy for Larry Walker.
That's it for Tom Glavine. Glavine allows 8 hits and 3 runs so far. Dejan been getting loose in their bullpen. 1 out. Cardinals have game recap put together by Brian McCann and our Bud Sports crew. Tony La Russa has seen this man before on the mound. Mike Dejan, as Reggie Sanders will be the hitter. This is our call to the bullpen, brought to you by the Renaissance Grand Hotel.
Mike has to be very relieved that he was traded to the Mets. He's been very good. Unscored upon in 6 of his last 7 outings. He's pitched very well for Baltimore at the end, but he really had his problems.
This is Reggie Sanders. Now, Larry Walker, age of 37, lifetime batting mark of .315, 7-time Gold Glove winner, 5-time All-Star. He was hitting .324 in 38 games this season. Remember, he had that groin strain and missed just about 3 months of the season. Upstairs to Reggie Sanders.
Among active players, Walker owns the 4th highest batting average versus right-handed batters, or right-handed pitchers, .317, and 8th best overall at .315 batting mark.
Now you think Jim Edmonds has a great arm in the outfield, 104 career assists. Walker, 148. He's had 14 home runs here at Busch Stadium, if you're wondering. I remember you and I doing a game a few years ago. He had a 3 home run night.
Yes.
Here at Busch. As the rain was falling. And Walker will be assigned his familiar uniform number 33, which is, I believe, last worn by Eduardo Perez. Where do you hit him? I can't wait to find out. Cardinals would love to have add a run right here with a ball at 2 strikes. Scott Rowland, the runner at second. Reggie strikes out, but the ball gets away. Gary Crawford maybe wants a little help here.
Nope, they called timeout. I think he looked to see everybody, or his counterparts, the umpires, to see if.
Now, did that hit off of Sanders or the umpire? I thought it hit off of Reggie Sanders the way that it shot out of there, but we get a better look right here.
You know, it kind of bounced in the air. It looked like it might have caught him in the back of the leg when he was running.
I think it bounced in the dirt maybe and caught Crawford as it hit the dirt and bounced off of him.
Well, he's in play.
We'll take it. Now the batter will be Tony Womack. He will be the pinch hitter for Luna, who drove in a run tonight in a key spot in this game with the bases loaded, just 1 out back in the 6th. And now it's Tony Womack against Tom Glavine. Hitting from the left side, did not make a start tonight. He'll bat with runners at the corners and only 1 out. Now this gets interesting with a guy like Womack. Cold off the bench. Do you let him swing away? Do you think about potential squeeze play? All those factors come into play with number 4. Cardinal fans, do you know how easy it is to dress like your favorite player? Just go to STLCardinals.com. You click on Shop for Everything for player jerseys, T-shirts, and caps. STLCardinals.com. Shop for all of your Cardinals merchandise.
Well, you know, speed creates a lot of problems for defense, and that's what Tony has. You know, they're going to play the third baseman in coming here. The first baseman has to guard here. And they still don't know if he's going to bunt or swing away. So up the middle, they're trying to play for the double play depth. And then that creates lanes all over the place.
1-0 pitch. Womack into left. He delivers off the bench, and it's 4-2 St. Louis. Rowland scores. Swinging away. Goes to the opposite field, and it's 4-2 Cardinals here in the 8th.
You've got the lead, so you can really mess up the defense. Have them worrying about what you're doing. He knew all along he was swinging. 2
RBIs tonight from the 7th spot in the order. This is our Bank of America higher standard off the bench, Tony Womack. So that run charged to Tom Glavine. 4-2 Cardinals. And our Bank of America higher standard. Now it's Mike Matheny. Fly to right, pop to short, rounded out to second. 0 for 3 on the night. Roger Cedeno, the former Met, moves to the on-deck circle. Cedeno was asked by the New York media, what's the best thing about Busch Stadium? I never get booed. That was his response today in the clubhouse. And he's been a great player for the Cardinals. Coming off the bench, he's found a home. Sanders is the runner at second. Womack at first. That hits Matheny. Bases are loaded. Dejan is staring back at Jerry Crawford. Remember, Mike Matheny, earlier in his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, was hit in the face, knocked out his teeth. So he's seen much worse than that.
Well, yeah, but these guys were teammates at the time.
That's right. Cardinal Baseball, a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of Fox Sports Net. Mike Helling, our game producer. Tom Mee, our director. Doug Stanton in the truck with Brian McCann and Lindsey Polite. Pre-game show producer Kim Eberly. And all the guys and gals that work in our Bud Sports crew here at Busch. Great job as always. Bases loaded. And here is Cedeno, the former Met. First pitch to him. Here's a strike on the inside corner. Switch hitting Roger Cedeno.
Ted Robinson, one of the Mets broadcasters and former broadcaster with the Giants, happened to be in San Francisco last weekend. And he said, I saw this guy come to bat in a key spot in the game, pinch hit. He had a .315 batting average. He delivered a double and RBI, and he said, I couldn't believe it was Roger Cedeno.
We saw him at his worst in New York. Has hit in 7 of his past 8 games. Saw a season-high 6-game hitting streak come to an end on Wednesday. Roger, ground ball. Piazza won't get it. Race to the bag. Safe at first. Cedeno delivers. 5-2 Cardinals. And the bases are still loaded and only 1 out.
Speed is right, and boy, that's to be a pleasurable swing for Roger Cedeno, and the best sprint he's had in a long time. Beating the throw and driving in a run against his former mates. He had a great relationship with his former teammates. It was just the fans that couldn't stand him.
5-2 Cardinals.
And that's what he means by playing here in Busch Stadium and knowing that these people appreciate him.
Here's So Taguchi. Taguchi, a base hit into right. Womack in. Matheny stops at third base. Taguchi with RBI number 17. 6-2 Redbirds. Bases still loaded. And Busch is going wild. Larry Walker on his way to St. Louis. And the Cardinals a 4-run lead on this Friday night. Coming up after the game, the Midwest Sports Report. Rams Camp Report, Hungo Award, complete post-game wrap-up, and a guy named Walker. We'll talk about that, as well as Brett Hall signing a 2-year deal, headed to Phoenix. All kinds of stuff to talk about on MSR. Six to 2 Cardinals. Renteria looks at a ball. Came up in a spot to give the Cardinals a lead back in the 7th with just 1 out and a runner at third. Could not deliver, but his teammates have picked him up. 4-run lead now. 6-2. 1 ball, 1 strike on Renteria. 1 for 4 in the ball game tonight.
You know, teammates do those things. Everybody talked about what an important start for Matt Morris. I think he answered how tough he is. And if the game holds this way, he richly deserves the victory, but there's a lot of stars out there that helped him along the way.
Edgar, foul ball. Crowd of 43,949 tonight. 3 grand slams in the career of Renteria. And it's been electric tonight.
Chicago just getting underway out in San Francisco.
Edgar pulls it to the third baseman. A forced play at the plate. That's one. And safe at first is Renteria. No need for Phillips to throw that baseball. Runners at all bags for Pujols. Matheny running hard from third to the plate.
Well, he tries to disrupt the catcher very cleanly, but he tries to get there and see if he can disrupt things and maybe get an errant throw.
How about this crowd on their feet for Pujols? Nowhere to put him with the bases loaded. Albert was the one that really picked up Renteria back in the 7th. A 2-out hit to give the Cardinals the lead.
And he tied it in the 6th. Or he got him on the scoreboard in the 6th before the sac fly by Luna. Tied it.
Danny John against his former teammate Albert Pujols. First pitch. Look at this place. Everybody's on their feet. 43,000 plus.
All the Cardinal fans are, and it's usually a sea of red.
No balls. 1 strike. Bases loaded. Albert reaches out, lifts it into center. Cameron is there. The Cardinals add to their lead. 3 runs here in the 8th. They'll look to wrap it up when we come to Hannah Brewer from Couch, Missouri, and Emily Myers of Concordia. And right behind us is I shouldn't say Mrs. Hopefully not yet. Hi, Hannah. Congratulations, Hannah. Let's tell you why we're congratulating you. Hannah was the runner-up and Emily the winner of the Missouri State High School Activities Association Sportsmanship Essay Contest. And they're watching the game from our plush booth provided by FSN Midwest. This call from the bullpen brought to you by the Renaissance Grand Hotel. I emceed the function yesterday down in Columbia, and congratulations. It was a lot of fun, and do it again next year.
All right. Well, Ray King's going to take over here in the 9th inning to see how he's busy. Pitched Sunday, 23 pitches in that outing. Monday was off. Tuesday 14, Wednesday 6. He had yesterday off thanks to that great effort by Carpenter, and then a 1-inning save by Izzy, and here he is pitching in the 9th.
Well, you've got Cliff Floyd here looking at a strike. Then Cameron and Hidalgo. And a right-hander is up and throwing in the Cardinals bullpen right now.
Pico Calero, but not a save situation right now, so
no need to burn, is he?
Yeah, I mean, with a day game tomorrow, let these guys get a little taste of getting that handshakes at the end.
Strike 2. Floyd back in the 6th. Gave the Mets a 2-run lead on his 15th home run. RBIs 52 and 53. The Cardinals have come back with 6 of their own. This offense doesn't quit. This team doesn't quit.
59th game for Ray King. Lefty's batting 156.
Ray King has done a fabulous job out of the bullpen for the Cardinals, and it's one of those trades that we have talked about. J.D. Drew, Eli Marrero to Atlanta. Cardinals get Marquis, who has been fantastic. 11-4. He'll pitch Sunday here at Busch Stadium, and they pick up Ray King. Can't say it enough. And a chance to have 2 left-handers in the bullpen in the way that Tony's been able to use them.
No, 2 effective.
Yeah.
2 effective guys that are durable. But, you know, Atlanta's very happy with that trade, too.
Eli has been platooning in left field. Smart move there by Steve Klein, St. Louis's finest.
J.D. has had a very good year, probably their best year of any of their players. And
been healthy.
And except I've heard reports where he took a couple cortisone shots in his wrist. So a lot like Ray Langford, trying to deal with it. I think, but we'll see them next weekend down in Dixon.
Has there been a guy in the last, let's say, since '98 that has made any bigger deals than Walt Jocketty? I mean, if you would have said back in 1998 that Cardinal fans are going to see Mark McGwire, Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, Larry Walker. I mean, the Larry Walker deal is done with 3 minor leaguers. That, to me, is amazing. And the Cardinals, while they didn't need that trade to energize this team, it is going to energize this team and probably get them to even a better level, as they're looking at 32 games above 500 if they can hold on tonight. They're 2 outs away. Brent Stover's coming up with a busy day in sports.
Thanks, guys. Coming up after the game on the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report, Jimmy Kennedy is back in St. Louis getting surgery. How long will he be out? Bobby Smith is out as Rams coordinator, but back in Macomb. That and more tonight. Now back to Dan and Al.
All right, Brent, thank you. Teeing in for one, Kiko coming in to close it out. Cardinals about to hit New York tonight, 11-5, lead it 6-2. Fans are having some fun. Fresh for the game tonight. Kiko, 37 pitches on Tuesday. 3 days before, he wasn't used, and the 2 after that, he was not. And Kiko Calero will come in and try to get the final 2 outs of this ball game.
See, I like to see this. You know, I like to have these opportunities where you can see how Kiko handles the pressure of the 26th and 7th outs. Got a little bit of a margin, but not much. And Isringhausen picked up his 28th save last night. He could pitch tonight, but why? Give him the night off, have him be that much fresher for tomorrow afternoon.
Cardinals on the verge of beating one of the best pitchers in the game. If that's not going to help, Cameron goes deep. 6-3. Number 24 for Mike Cameron.
Now it's going to be a little more interesting, but
Mike pitch hit at 6-3.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you never take things for granted. And he throws a fastball. Matheny set up away. It comes to the inside part of the plate, and he turns on it.
Pitch up in the zone to Hidalgo. Think about some of those names that Walt Jocketty's been able to get since '98.
Walt's done a phenomenal job, but I think Walt would be the first one to tell you his ownership has given him the authority to go and make these kind of deals, to add payroll, and to reward the fans who come through the turnstiles.
2-0 on Hidalgo. 2-1. Izzy now up and getting loose. The score now 6-3. A little different situation. Off the end of the bat, will Squiver foul. 2-2. And the thing is, he's getting prime players, franchise type players, and yet the payroll is not $150 million. I mean, it's a payroll that around 80, 85, and yet it's manageable.
Wow. I think, you know, once again, ownership steps up because it was over budget by some.
Uh-oh. That is crushed by Hidalgo. Look at this one. Wow, off the scoreboard for Hidalgo.
That's his 14th home run since coming to the New York Mets. And now, I mean, you know, Tony tried to do it, but not that you wanted Kiko to get it into a save situation, but now you've got to protect the win.
Izzy thought he might have the evening off. Not so. Look at this one sail away. Oh. Almost hit his own number up there on the scoreboard here at Busch. One of the longest home runs of the year. Here comes Izzy. 6-4 Cardinals. Isringhausen came up with the New York Mets as a starter, but surgery after surgery, he was moved to the bullpen, traded to Oakland, became a closer. Now he's the Cardinals closer, and in the midst of his 5th consecutive 20-save season.
Coming on here, he's got 28 currently, trying to get number 29, and he has 2 outs to get.
Upstairs to David Wright.
A little cooler weather, and it looks like everybody's got a little more life in their arm.
Not close on the first 2 pitches. Last thing that Izzy wants to do is walk a man and bring up a potential tying run at the plate.
Well, Danny, I'll tell you what happens. A lot of times closers are sitting there and they think they've got a night off. Mentally, they start shutting down. And he probably, in some ways, said, well, I didn't want to get up if I don't get in this game. But after the 2 home runs, you've got to turn on the adrenaline and the competitive juices once again. You had them earlier, but then you kind of shut down, and it might take you a little time to get it back.
2-0 pitch. That's a strike.
So that's why it was important for Mike McKinney to go out there and say, hey, let's kick it in a little quicker. We got a battle here. These guys aren't giving up.
3-run home run for Michael Tucker. Giants on top early against Chicago. Popped up right side. Is there a play? Pujols. Not a play. Count now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Do you give the youngster the gas here, David Wright, or do you go with a breaking ball? Let's find out.
Cutter. That's what I thought.
2-2. Ground ball. Womack. 2 outs. Tonight's play of the game brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
Using your head. They had the defense swung way around. Never thought he would drop down a bunt, and it's perfect. Watch where it ends up.
Way to go, John Lawrence. Following that baseball. Our cameraman, Eric Valent. Final hope for the Mets. First pitch, Izzy. Strike 1. I'm sure fans getting wind of this trade, Larry Walker to St. Louis, you weren't excited about being 31 games above 500. Chance to go 32, and Walker wearing the birds on the bat. Are you kidding me? Curveball of beauty. Nothing into the count.
That's a pitch I think at times Izzy forgets about, and it's a dandy. They've got to use it to keep it. Didn't want the cutter, fastball.
0-2 pitch. Foul straight back. Valent with 6 home runs, 24 RBIs on the season. A .288 average.
Your curveball, Uncle Charlie.
0-2 pitch, curveball, and Valent has got a piece. Stays alive. Cardinals will be on Big Fox tomorrow, 12:20 the first pitch. Good seats still available. Woody Williams, Chris Benson. Our next telecast on FSN Midwest Tuesday night. We'll take on the world champion Marlins.
Comes the cutter.
The 0-2. Little up and in.
Little up and in. Todd Zeal goes to the on-deck circle. He'd pinch hit if Valent can extend it. Follow it back up with the cutter.
got him. 32 games above 500. Larry Walker coming to St. Louis. Win number 70. 6-4 our final. Midwest Sports Report is coming up. For Al, I'm Dan. We'll talk to you on Tuesday night. MSR coming up.
Now, your Midwest Sports Report, presented by Busch Light.
Good evening and welcome. He's Brent Stover. I'm Ryan Burr. It's another Cardinals winning edition of the Busch Light Midwest Sports Report. Full recap of the games coming up, but we start with that huge trade.
Yeah, the Rockies outfielder Larry Walker has been dealt to the Cardinals in exchange for minor league pitcher Matt Birch and 2 players to be named later. Walker is hitting .324 with 6 homers and 20 RBIs.
I was welcomed with open arms when I came, so it's hard to say goodbye to the fans. And you move on. I don't want to be a crybaby, but it's tough.
Well, let's take a look at the highlights from tonight. Mets and the Cards bottom of the 6th. Cards down 2-1, but in business. Bases loaded. Hector Luna lifts the fly ball to right. Richard Hidalgo makes the catch, but he can't throw out Albert Pujols at home plate. And that one ties the score at 2 apiece. Bottom of the 7th. 1 on Pujols. Lines a single to center. Marlon Anderson scores from 3rd. The Cards go on to win, although things got a little bit dicey in the 9th inning, but they hold on to win. Izzy comes in to nail down the save. 6-4 is your final score. The winning pitcher, Matt Morris, and really he bounces back. 7 innings, just 2 earned runs allowed. Jimmy Hayes is at the scene, brought to you by Ace Mortgage. Jim, take it away.
Save number 25 for Jason Isringhausen. You shut the door on this one. Looked like you were going to get the night off, though.
Yeah, it looked like it, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we put up some runs in the 8th, and then, I don't know what happened with Kiko, but, everything's fine. He'd be all right, and we just got to go out and play good ball again tomorrow morning.
Matt Morris's last outing against San Francisco, a little rocky. How nice to see him bounce back like that.
All right, I mean, he's on that little roller coaster ride right now. He's trying to find himself a little bit, but he looked awesome tonight and helped himself with the bat, too. So, I mean, it was a great start for Matt. I wish we could have gotten him to win a little earlier, but we did, so that's good.
You guys picked up Larry Walker. Your reaction to that kind of addition?
Well, anytime you pick up somebody like that, it's pretty awesome. So, I mean, we need another left-handed bat in the lineup to, complement Jimmy. So it's a big addition, and we'll welcome him here tomorrow.
All right, Izzy, thanks for the time. Dan, Al?
All right, thank you, Jim. We'll talk about the acquisition of Walker in just a moment. But the big story to me tonight, besides Walker on the field, Matt Morris bouncing back. A lot of people were curious about this start. Would he bounce back? And he was terrific. 7 innings and only 5 hits allowed.
Well, I try to diffuse a little of that and just accentuate the positive. And the positive was what Matt Morris brought to the game today. He had good stuff. He had used all of his pitches. He used that cutter. He used his changeup. He used his curveball. He had the sinker working. But he went out there with that Matty Moe attitude, and he deserved that win.
Well, here's the thing. The Cardinals fall behind 2-0. It's a home run by Cliff Floyd, and a lot of people have been talking about the body language of Morris. When he falls behind, team is struggling, he's struggling, but he bounces back, and eventually it winds up being him putting the ball in play, reaching base, getting to second, and that's the go-ahead run for the Cardinals.
It's easy to say. It's tough to do when you're a competitor. You're out there and you feel like you let down the team. You give up that home run. You know runs are going to be a premium against Glavine, but you've got to instantaneously turn that negativity off, get back to positive. You've got to think about, all right, if I keep it right here, just 2 runs, my guys are good enough, and this offense is the best in the National League. They'll come back and they'll reward the team. And if I'm lucky, I'll get a win, too.
We were talking about this during the telecast. We'll throw it back to the studio in just a second. But Larry Walker coming to St. Louis. It's the best lineup in baseball without Walker. Now you've got Walker in there. Where do you place him in this lineup, you think?
I don't worry about things like that. That's why we got one of the best in Tony La Russa. He'll figure it out, and that's a nice problem to have.
Nice problem to have. Edmonds and Walker, 2 lefties, and one of the best lineups in baseball to go along with Marlon Anderson, Tony Womack, and the big 3. You've got Edmonds, Roland, and Pujols. We haven't even mentioned Renteria. This goes on and on. Big win for the Cardinals tonight. Let's send it back to the studio.
Thanks a lot, guys, and plenty more posts to come. We're going to get Tony La Russa live, and obviously his comments on Larry Walker, plus hope to get more posts on Larry Walker, talking about coming here, as well as some of the other principal players, the GMs. Hopefully we'll both talk about the principal players in the deal. And certainly it's Larry Walker and then Matt Birch, the minor leaguer, and two players to be named later going from the Cardinals to Colorado.
Brent, let's just touch on this right now. The Cardinals, to make a trade or not to make a trade, the big question was chemistry. How do you play with a team that's so hot? Larry Walker is a guy. Superstar, sure. Former MVP, sure. But he even saw in the comments he had a guy that will fit into the equation as we take a look at the trade here. Colorado agrees to pay 7.5 of his salary, so you talk about a win-win for the Cardinals. They get a great player, and they don't have to pay that huge salary in 205.
Yeah, and he signs for 2006, so it's big. You know, in the 2006, I should say, is actually an option year, a club option, but boy, he's 37 years old. You can look at that, and a little bit injury-prone. He had an injury earlier this year, and that's caused him to only have just over 100 at-bats. But in those 100 at-bats, I mentioned 324 and 6 homers. Lifetime, a 315 hitter, 357 home runs.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he's in the lineup tomorrow as the Cardinals go for 4 in a row. Here's what he will be looking at if he is in the lineup. Chris Benson, newly acquired to the Mets, will be on the hill against Woody. Both guys with 8 wins. Woody the better ERA. Pretty good game tomorrow as Woody looks to get win number 9.
Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean it's going to always work out that way. Faced a very tough lineup with the Mets coming in, and you know I have to be at the top of my game to come out on top. But Chris Benson is a very good pitcher, and with a new team, so you know there'll be a little excitement on his behalf. So it's going to be very tough.
And tonight's Cardinals Milestone brought to you by your independent tire dealer. Jim Edmonds went deep yesterday to get within 10 of 300 for his career. Your independent tire dealers helping your car reach milestones on the road. Last night, the first reporter to ask questions to Tony La Russa in his post-game press conference was Reggie Sanders. He wanted to know if he'd be playing tonight.
And secondly, I would like to know, is Reggie Sanders in the lineup tomorrow?
Well, if we're trying to win, there's no chance he's playing. Let me ask you a question. Have you heard about the Calvin thing? No. Oh, I can't.
Well, yes, after sitting out for 5 straight days with a strained ribcage muscle, which he hurt in batting practice on Saturday, Sanders was back in there tonight and glad to be there. Certainly, he spoke with Jim Hayes before the game.
Sometimes I can help out with any cause, but tonight I'm in the lineup. I just wanted to make it a fun gesture, and I end up working, and here I am.
Now, Reggie, glad to be healthy again for sure. And the big news tonight, which I think we'll be touching on for a while, is the addition of Larry Walker. What does it mean for the outfield? Well, it means they have one great hitter in the outfield.
It would be amazing to be Larry Walker, and you walk into the clubhouse, hey, Skip, where am I batting in the lineup tonight? You're going to bat 7th. I mean, you got a guy with 357 career home runs, 315 hitter. I'm not saying that's for sure, but I mean, this is murderer's row right now. These guys tear the cover off the ball. They've been doing it all season long, top to bottom. Boy, if Larry Walker is your number 7 hitter, you know, people have questions about the starting pitching once you get into the postseason. But boy, with this lineup, boy, the starting pitching might be just fine right now.
Yeah, he'll have some runs to work with. You know, another thing about Larry Walker that you have to talk about is this. On July 31st, of course, he's been in the league long enough he could veto any trade. He vetoed a trade to Texas, who looks like they're going to the playoffs. Well, today he said, yeah, he'll go to St. Louis, and why not? A team that's assured of being in the postseason. He wants to be a part of that. You saw how tough it was for him to leave Colorado, but I think when he gets to St. Louis, meets the guys in the locker room, has a talk with Tony, he's going to fit in just fine. Not a big ego guy, and I think this is a perfect fit. I really do.
And again, we'll mention Matt Birch is the minor league pitcher that goes over to Colorado, along with 2 players to be named later. Birch is a guy who's been pitching at Peoria with that team, and that's the high single-A team for the St. Louis Cardinals. And Birch is a guy who was closing down in single-A, had 21 saves, so certainly he is a prospect, but obviously for the Rockies this is a salary dump, and for a team that's really starting over with a lot of youth, a 37-year-old Larry Walker, you know, his time has come to end. But as you saw, I mean, it's an emotional thing for him. I mean, no hard feelings from him. He's been with the Rockies since 1995. Before that, he was with the Expos. Certainly loved playing in that organization, had some fantastic years, and certainly had to have loved playing in Coors Field, where the air is awfully thin every night.
Yeah, unbelievable, but you said he had a great career in Montreal. And how about Walt Jocketty? You talk about Mark McGuire, You talk about Scott Rowland, you talk about Jim Edmonds, and now you throw in Larry Walker to the mix. We're talking about some Hall of Fame names in that list that he's been able to acquire to bring to the Cardinals. And this guy, the latest guy, is, I think, what he thinks might be the finishing touch to a team that can win a World Series.
And certainly this year, too. I mean, the trade with the Braves has worked out good. Yeah, J.D. Drew is having a great season in Atlanta, but you got rid of him and Eli Marrero, and you bring in some key components, and a guy like Adam Wainwright, who we really haven't gotten to see so far this year, and he's a guy that's probably going to be shut down for the season because he's hurt. But certainly he and Danny Herron, your top pitching prospects, he might even have a higher ceiling right now than Dan Herron. So, you know, he's made good trade time and time again, and you see Ray King, night in, night out, getting the lefties out. Got an important out here tonight. I'm sure a lot of Cardinal fans wish that Tony La Russa would have left Ray King in the game. Of course, hindsight's 20/20. Kiko Calero comes in and gives up a couple of home runs. The final score, though, 6-4, and Matt Morris, the guy we haven't talked a whole lot about, at least in the last couple of minutes. Now 12-7 with the win, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Glavine is the loser. Tony La Russa standing by live for his postgame press conference, brought to you by McDonald's.
Around, he wasn't that bad a pitch, he hit out of the park. But other than that, Wade Glavine was pitching with a 2 ERA. I mean, that's what we're used to getting from Matt. When you get a matchup like that, gives us a chance to win. I thought he had made a lot of really good pitches against a club that's been red hot. I mean, it was good pitching on both sides. He always responds. I mean, he's had a hiccup or two this year, but we have great confidence. I'm talking about coaches, the players, clubhouse staff, trainers. We have great confidence in Matt. Sometimes he does something wrong, he figures it out and he improves that. So that's part of getting better.
Is it pitch skipping? Is that what
Well, I mean, that's a popular, I know there was an article about that, and I just made some general comments that I think for a while now more hitters pay attention to trying to figure out what the pitcher's going to throw rather than the actual stuff. I mean, so you really got to be careful because the guys are really studying it. And from time to time, I think Matt has gotten, like most guys, they get a little careless or, and that explains some of the time where you're throwing good and guys are on you. But, it's correctable with him. Oh, great at bats, and I mean, I thought Art Howe, he runs a great game, and you got the runner at third and a couple of guys that get hits off of Glavine, but it's Glavine's game, and he left him in there, and he made a great pitch to Renteria, which you think, if there's any justice, he gets Pujols out too. Pujols comes and gets a base hit. I mean, he's so tough, but the game could have gone either way. I mean, that last little flurry in the 8th gave some breathing room, but it was really a close game. Yeah. In fact, after we should have bunted that next time up, too. Well, whenever you get, I don't know if he'll be here in time to play in the game, but, I mean, you're talking about one of the players in baseball. I mean, this guy, I'm sure you all know this, but he plays the game. He runs the bases intelligently. He knows what he's doing in the outfield. He takes at bats based on the situation. He's really a playmaker. So I think it's a heck of a move, and our players are excited by it. What we got to do is just understand that you're not taking anything for granted. It just gives us another weapon. You still got to play the games. Who? No, that was the announcement right there. I mean, there was enough conversation about it. I knew, all I said to the guys is what I knew. Walt was having conversations about doing something, but there was nothing official. Didn't know if it was going to happen, and then it was announced.
You thought about yet where you might